Liverpool are back again. They were the champions of England. Then their form faltered. 4 successive Premier League defeats, 6 losses and 7 across competitions, a home Carabao Cup exit, an air of doubt that crept through Anfield. Fans muttered, pundits pointed, the critics lined up.
But yeah, I mean, a club of the stature of Liverpool, now we're any top club like Madrid, PSG, even Arsenal, Bayern Munich, you don't lose 4 games in a row. That just does not happen, especially on the back of spending the type of money that they spent. And no one could look at the players that they brought to the club and say they're not top quality players, but it just hasn't worked yet. It just hasn't fitted in. But losing 4 games is, you're verging on crisis time. I mean, a couple of defeats can happen, but 4 in a row against teams who you're better than. It's not like you've played PSG in the Champions League, or you've played Arsenal in a league game, or Man City. All the teams Liverpool have lost to, they are a far better team.
And then came the night, a Champions League clash with Real Madrid, one of Europe's giants. During the countdown, the whispers started. Madrid will dismantle them. Slot will be sacked after the defeat. Liverpool's era is over.
I'm kind of going along the same lines with this Real Madrid game. I don't think there's any question. Real Madrid have to be favourites, whether this is at Anfield or not. They have to be favourites, the way they're playing and the way Liverpool are playing. So again, I'm looking for a performance. I'm looking for the front line to be direct and be exciting and make better decisions, as I said. But I'm also looking for the back 4 to get together and be as one, be a unit.
But Liverpool had other ideas, because under Arne Slot, something shifted. From slack defending, from sloppy transitions, from conceding cheap goals, to a coherent system of press and purpose. The midfield seized control, the forwards pressed like they meant it, the defenders measured their timing. This was more than a match, it was a statement. Liverpool versus Real Madrid, and that night, Liverpool were back again. Liverpool came into the 2025/26 season as defending Premier League champions under Arne Slot. Confidence was high, belief unshaken, and the expectation simple, to do it all over again. But football doesn't do fairy tales twice. By late September, that confidence began to crumble. The rhythm that made them untouchable last season was suddenly gone. The goals dried up, the pressing lost its bite, the defense, once solid as granite, started leaking at the worst possible moment.
I think it screams from the page, really. They're conceding so many goals, aren't they? To score 2 away from home and still get beat. Liverpool have to score 3 every game for a chance to win the game. I mean, you have to defend from the front. You have to be more organised. This is Liverpool's 3rd game in a week, as we've mentioned before. So you have to come in, defend for 20, 25 minutes, play ugly, do whatever you want to stay in the game, and then your good players, when fatigue starts to set in and space starts to appear, that's when you make the most of it.
It started with a shock defeat at Crystal Palace, then another setback at Chelsea, and by the time Manchester United came to Anfield, frustration had turned into genuine fear. Each match felt heavier, each mistake more costly. Then came Brentford, October 25th, a chaotic, bruising 3-2 loss that made it 4 consecutive Premier League defeats. For the first time in years, the reigning champions were part of an unwanted club.
And I'm not shell-shocked because Liverpool lost a game, because you can always lose a game, but it's the manner in which Liverpool are losing games. There's a huge problem. There's a real problem, because there is absolutely nothing, again, about this Liverpool performance that would suggest that it's going to get any better.
Champions who couldn't buy a win. The numbers were brutal. 4 league defeats in a row, 6 losses in their last 7 across all competitions, 9 goals conceded in that league stretch. Confidence draining by the minute. Pundits questioned everything. The tactics, the mentality, even Slot's grip on the dressing room. Anfield, once a fortress, began to echo with nervous murmurs instead of thunderous belief. The champions looked doomed. For the first time under Arne Slot, Liverpool weren't feared. They were doubted. But football's beauty lies in its rhythm. It can break you one week and rebuild you the next. And for Liverpool, that next week was coming. When you're the man who replaced Jurgen Klopp, one of the most loved figures in Liverpool's history, pressure isn't new, but this was different. Arne Slot had walked into Anfield with calm authority, a Premier League title in his debut season, and the respect of both players and fans. Now, that calm was being tested by chaos. Every result in October felt heavier than the last. After the defeat to Brentford, the tone of the questions changed. It wasn't just about bad luck anymore. It was about leadership, tactics, and whether Slot still had control of the dressing room. In press conferences, his answers stayed measured. He didn't lash out. He didn't blame injuries or officials. He simply said, "We need to be braver. The details are hurting us." But behind the scenes, the pressure was real. The team that had pressed like a storm was suddenly caught chasing shadows. Opponents broke through lines too easily. The midfield looked stretched, and the defense looked tired. The dressing room remained united, but wounded. Veterans like Van Dijk and Robertson spoke about accountability.
In a world of chaos, you have to try and stay calm and take the perspective of things. You know, at that meeting, the time was October. So many football to be played, so many twists and turns that can happen. And I think at times the noise was a lot. Keep your head down, work, and get out of the situation, because quality we have. That's not the issue. It's about keep working and keep going.
Dominik Szoboszlai admitted the energy wasn't the same, and Slot, ever the pragmatist, went back to the training ground to rebuild it from the ground up. He studied every clip, every spacing error, every lost duel. He told his players to trust the system, even when the results said otherwise. He asked for control, patience, and belief. For most managers, this is where cracks widen. For Slot, it became the forge. Because while the world saw a team collapsing, he saw a team on the brink of rediscovery. And then something started to shift. A spark, a performance that didn't just stop the bleeding, it began the healing. After weeks of frustration, Anfield was desperate for something, anything, to believe in again. The night of November 1st, 2025 against Aston Villa became that moment. 4 straight Premier League defeats had stripped confidence bare. The team that once hunted in packs looked lost in open space. But as the players stepped out that evening, there was something different in their faces. A quiet defiance. The look of men tired of being doubted. Arne Slot hadn't torn the script apart. He'd just rewritten the rhythm.
The key to the win was, I think, outstanding performance from the team and from some individuals, and scoring from a set piece does help.
He pushed his fullbacks a touch deeper, asked his midfield to build control before chaos, and gave his front three permission to play with instinct again. It wasn't revolution, it was restoration. And from the opening whistle, Liverpool looked alive. The press had purpose, the passes had bite. Aston Villa tried to play through them and couldn't. Just before halftime, the breakthrough, a loose ball, a flash of red, and Mohamed Salah, forever the constant in chaos, fired home his 250th goal for Liverpool. A milestone moment, not just for him, but for the entire team. Anfield erupted. It wasn't the loudest cheer of the season, it was the most relieved. Early in the second half, Ryan Gravenberch added the seconds. Calm finish, calm reaction. Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. No drama, no panic, just control. The numbers didn't scream dominance. 16 shots to 10, 53% possession, but the feeling did. This was the first clean sheet in weeks. The first time since early September that Liverpool looked like themselves. Sometimes it's not about thrashing an opponent, it's about remembering who you are and proving it to yourself again. And as the final whistle blew, there was no wild celebration, just a knowing smile from Arne Slot, a handshake with his captain, and a simple truth in the air. The storm hadn't passed yet, but Liverpool had found shelter. 3 days after the Aston Villa win, Anfield had another visitor, one that had haunted Liverpool for years: Real Madrid. The name alone carries weight, and when they walk out under the floodlights, every club feels it. But on this night, something felt different. The noise, the energy, the defiance. Liverpool weren't stepping into this game wounded. They were walking in reborn. Doubters expected Madrid to tear Liverpool apart. Mbappe's pace, Vinicius Jr.'s flair, Bellingham and Arda Güler's brilliance. Most pundits predicted damage, but Arne Slot's men had other plans. From the first whistle, Liverpool pressed with organized fury. They hunted in packs, closed every passing lane, and made Real Madrid's midfield, one of Europe's finest, look ordinary. Every time Madrid tried to build from the back, red shirts swarmed. Courtois was forced into save after save, 7 in total, just to keep Madrid alive. The tempo was relentless, the pressing cohesive, and the balance beautiful. Slot's 4-2-3-1 shape worked like choreography. McAllister and Gravenberch dictated tempo. Szoboszlai pulled strings higher up. Florian Wirtz drifted between lines, turning Madrid's structure into confusion. Still, the scoreboard stayed blank until the 69th minute. Szoboszlai stood over a free kick right side of the box. His delivery bent and dipped towards the near post. Alexis McAllister darted through traffic, rose, and glanced the ball perfectly past Courtois' reach. 1-0. Anfield exploded. It was more than a goal. It was a release, pace, the kind of roar that shakes dust off rafters and doubt off shoulders. For 90 minutes, Liverpool had outthought, outran, and outclassed Real Madrid. Even as Courtois kept denying Salah and Gakpo late on, there was no sense of panic, only control, only belief. When the final whistle blew, it wasn't just another European night, it was a statement. Liverpool, once written off as a fading champion, had just beaten one of the world's best. And in the process, Arne Slot reminded everyone of what Anfield does best, turning doubt into noise and adversity into art. Redemption doesn't come in headlines, it comes in the small things. A recovered tackle, a cleaner press, a team moving as one again. For Liverpool, the transformation wasn't about miracles, it was about rhythm, about trust, about Arne Slot quietly rebuilding what chaos had tried to break. He didn't call for revolution, he called for connection. Fullbacks slightly deeper, midfielders rotating quicker, forwards pressing in tighter triangles. Little adjustments, but the difference was visible. In October, they looked disjointed, their average defensive line dropping nearly 5 meters lower than in August. By early November, that compactness returned. Passing lanes closed, opponents suffocated. It was the Liverpool identity re-emerging, intensity with intelligence, and you could see it in the faces. Confidence no longer forced, but natural. After that 2-0 win over Aston Villa, after the 1-0 over Real Madrid, something clicked. The team wasn't just playing to stop the noise. They were playing for themselves again. Arne Slot's vision was finally breathing. His midfield trio, Mac Allister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, now operated like a living organism. His forwards interchanged without chaos. His defense looked disciplined, compact, alive. It was a statement that went beyond form. It was belief reborn, not shouted but earned. For weeks, they were mocked, written off, doubted. Now they were climbing again. Not because of one goal or one night, but because the fire was back where it mattered most. Inside, the Premier League will remember this stretch as a wobble. Liverpool will remember it as the moment they remembered who they were. They fell, they regrouped, and now Liverpool are back again.